Right. Well, hello. Welcome to the 7 Minute Security Podcast. Just give me about 20 seconds here because I'm watching it, live in front of me. But looking at it on YouTube, it's like 20 seconds delayed. So no wonder when I ask people stuff, I don't hear back right away. So hold on a second. Hey, hello. Okay. So there's me looping back into the thing. All right. Well, yeah, welcome to the 7 Minute Security third Thursday YouTube live stream. This is something that I try to do every third Thursday and talk about something security related. Often it has to do with hacking. And I apologize because, end of year stuff just got crazy and I realized I didn't sorry, let me just see real quick if things are twitching on the Twitch because I guess that's where the kids go to watch stuff. Uh, and it's going there. But yeah, I think last time we did one was like October, and I love doing these, but just quarter four crunch became crunchy, and so excited to be back at it. But admittedly, please give me a little bit of your patience because the Restream interface has changed quite a bit since I last saw it. So, for example, I'm panicking a little bit because I've got my um, I've got my PowerPoint ready to go, but it is not sized right. So I think if I do that, there we go. Oh, then you don't see me, which is fine. Hold on. I think I can pop up if I do this. Oh, hey, what do you know? Look at that. Figuring stuff out. Okay. So today, what I want to talk through is the WPA3 downgrade attack. So this is something that as pen testers and defenders, I think we need to be aware of because WPA3 for wireless networks, that's got some cool security advantages over WPA2. And I'm going to just throw out a disclaimer right now and say that wireless is not where I spend most of my days and hours. So I was originally going to approach this from let's totally pick apart WPA2 and 3 and show you the benefits and the gotchas. But there's other people on my team that are much more in the wireless weeds than I am. So I'm going to stick more to high level stuff. And again, that being WPA3 is what, a lot of um, articles and things are pointing us to use for wireless. But your WPA3 network may be susceptible to a downgrade attack where you can sort of trick clients into making a WPA2 connection and then grab that handshake and crack it like you probably do now on pen testing engagements. And then on the blue team side, I want you to be aware of this because maybe your network is configured in such a way that allows for these downgrade attacks, and you might not even know it. So that's what we're going to get into today. Also, hello DF. A few people pinged me on other channels, and uh, I'm like simulcasting on LinkedIn, YouTube, um, Twitch. So I'm trying to say hello to people that ping on those different platforms. But let's get into it. And before we get too far into it, I want to lay out the agenda and just cover a few things before the WPA3 demo. I want to talk briefly about the 7MinSec Club. This is a Substack that I just started as of yesterday, and I just want to show that to you. Invite you to be part of it and subscribe to it. And then if you're like, no thanks, Brian, no gracias, that's fine. But that is if you were part of our MailChimp newsletter, which hasn't had an update in about 2 years. I sent out a blast to that email group yesterday and said, hey, I'm retiring this. I'm moving to Substack. But to respect your inbox and your privacy, I didn't want to just mass import you to Substack and start blasting out stuff because, I don't like that. And I figure if it was me, I'd go, oh, you know what? I haven't even thought about 7 minutes security in a while. I'll come along for the ride with their new Substack thing. Or maybe they go, Brian sucks and I don't want to hear from him. Well, there you go. Either way, you're all set. So I'll just show you 7MinSec Club really briefly. and talk about how related to that. There's some chatter. I've been talking to some of you folks about doing another in-person gathering of some sort, like a security evening of some security presentations and pizza and that kind of thing, like we used to do sort of pre-COVID and pre-house fire. This would be in Shakopee, southern Twin Cities area. So I don't know about some of the ones we did also simulcast them over Zoom. We'll just have to kind of gauge interest, but I wanted to just throw this out on this webcast so that you could go, yeah, I would come to that, and or I would maybe sponsor it with pizza and or speak at it. So we'll talk about that. And then the last two bullets relate to each other. I've got a ton of updates that I just pushed out this morning for BPATY, and that stands for Brian's Pen Testing and Technical Tips for You. And the website is bpatty.rocks, and I'll show it to you in just a second. That has a bunch of new updates today that link to tools and have some how-to verbiage on how to use the tools that I'm going to go through with the WPA3 downgrade demo. And when it comes to that demo, I'm going to apologize in advance, but that part of it is going to be death by PowerPoint. And the only reason for that is that some of the tools, as you're like enumerating and attacking networks, they show all the networks and MAC addresses and things in the greater area here. And I just don't want to do that. So, but my hope is this presentation, coupled with the BPATY updates, with a side order of death by PowerPoint, my hope is that you go, okay, cool. I'm going to try that on my next pen test, or I'm going to go log into our network gear and see if we are perhaps susceptible to the WPA3 downgrade attack. And if you've got questions, right now, I think the chat feed pulls in from YouTube and Twitch. So if you've got questions, comments, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just go. Let's go for it. Okay, so first bit of errata is the announcement of the 7minsec.club, and that is actually a website. It was funny because yesterday when I wrote out to the email group and I said, we're retiring the MailChimp newsletter, we're now using Substack, which is at 7minsec.club. I got several messages from customers and friends going, forwarding it to my corporate address saying, this looks really fishy. Is this actually you? And it is. I'm just going to bring up my Firefox real quick. So 7minsec.club will take you to this landing page. And this platform is Substack, which is a lot of content. People are using it. It kind of bundles together a newsletter, a blog, a podcast, if you want to spin one up, sort of all in one area. And I just find the tools pretty simple and easy to use. And so anyway, when you get there, you will be asked to subscribe. You certainly don't have to, but if you send an email address through and subscribe, then anytime I do a new post, you'll also get email notification. But note, right? Hello, here's the no thanks link. You can do that and you can still see all the stuff. So today I did a post about the live stream that we're watching now. Yesterday I put out a post about just getting Substack started. I talked about a Cisco upgrade that I did at the home office that had some fun moments. And also ended on a personal note. I pointed you to my personal movie review of The Strangers Pray at Night. So just my way to kind of be a little bit more, I don't know, just like write to you directly about stuff that doesn't necessarily justify a corporate blog, but lets me be a bit more casual and dorky like I am in the podcast. So you're welcome to check that out or not. But the important thing is, I put in this first note from yesterday. I said, what about some sort of get together? And I got a comment from our pal Rod. He said, hey, what if we did an in-person meeting the weekend that Secure 360 is in town? And that's kind of one of the big security conferences here in the Twin Cities. In Shakopee, it's at Mystic Lake, I think, unless it's moved. And that I will look into. My office building has space for conference rooms and stuff, and I think we could use that. So I'm going to check into it and get back to you. But again, if you hear this and you go, I would definitely come and or support and or speak, let me know because that just helps me go, absolutely, let's line it up and then kind of know how many people to expect. But more to come on that. Okay, so that's 7minsec.club, not a phishing address, even though it totally looks like a phishing address. All right, so that's that. Oh, and then also, sorry, hold on a second. Um, B Patty. Let's just talk about that real quick. Bpatty.rocks, another phishing looking link, but it's the place where I dump all of my notes and kind of scripts and things to help me be a better pen tester and assessor of networks. So if you go under the blog here and you go under this link for today, bpatty 1.5 release, this is where you'll see the jump off points for some of these tools that start with HC, HCX dump tool, HCX lab tool, and so on. So that's a great reference point if you're going back and looking through this presentation. You can also find all those wireless related tools in the appropriate category here. So head to pen testing, expand Wi-Fi, and then you can pop into them there. And we'll pop into them too as we go through this. Um, okay, I think that's all the news in errata, and I don't see any questions. So let's get into this WPA3 downgrade attack. Now I just want to set the stage a little bit that traditionally the way I would go about a wireless pen test, if the customer was like, "Hey, we've got a WPA2 network and it's got a password on it. We want to see if you can grab the handshake, run it through a cracking methodology, see if we've got easily crackable passwords." I would typically use Wi-Fi for that, which actually I can just pull up real quick. That's Fight 2 that you can get right off of GitHub. And this one is about as push button as it gets. You plug in your wireless card, you run Wi-Fi, it enumerates the airspace and tells you, okay, type in the number of the network or networks that you want to attack. And then it'll just go through its cavalcade of tricks up its sleeve and likely gives you a handshake and lets you crack it. But as I was doing that on a recent assessment, I was having just sort of mixed success and also seeing more and more chatter about this HCX dump tool. Um, Now, this is one where I'll say kind of my experience with this tool and several that I'm going to show you is that they're fantastic for wireless testing, but they're a bit above my head and kind of my and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this episode is that my journey and kind of reading through the different issues, the wiki, so on and so forth, is that the tool's undergone a lot of changes. There seems to be a lot of people who, like me, were having a bit of a difficult time figuring out how do I get these different tools to enumerate and attack just the APs I want. And there's actually what I found anyway. I might not be doing it the best way, but I found there's 3 or 4 tools that you kind of put them together for the best wireless attack strategy. So I'm just going to kind of run you through these hoops as I ran through them. So one of the things you'll find if you're playing with HCX dump tool is you can run it and specify your wireless interface and run it with a couple flags that essentially say just run wide open. And by doing so, you'll see a screen kind of like I have here, where it'll be all of the access points, and all of them are under some level of attack. Now, this might be okay for your home or lab environment, but anything else in the airspace, you're gonna be capturing handshakes for, and those are going to be receiving attacks. So as I went about reading through the wiki, I realized okay, there's all this chatter about using this tool in conjunction with a BPF. And I did not know what that means. If you do, great. But also I'm angry at you because why didn't you tell me? But it stands for Berkeley Packet Filter. And I'm going to go to, just to keep pointing back to more references for you. This is HCX Dump Tool. I'm going to go to HCX Dump Tool, and I I found I found the process of building a filter list confusing. Maybe you can do it in your sleep. I can't. it was it was frustrating for me, and so I've got this section here about building the filter list. But what that filter list does is it allows you to specify, with sniper precision, the access point that you want to attack. So definitely read through my documentation, and also you see it says also check out this discussion. That will lead you here to a discussions area of HCX Dump Tool where I had a crazy good conversation with the developer of this tool. But if you want to read through it, you'll see that I'm like a white belt wireless pen tester, and this person is like a ninja. Their knowledge of this blows my mind. So I often found myself going like, okay, but like this one little thing, is it this flag? Is it that flag? But I think you'll find it super informative if, like me, you weren't sure how to piece all these tools together for effective wireless pen testing. So again, my command line that I'm showing you here is enumerate and attack everything in reach, but don't do that. Use it in conjunction with a BPF, which you will build, and then you zoom in. You will build, and then you will specify it in your attack syntax right there. BPF, and you will specify that file the Berkeley packet filter that you create. Okay, so be a good pen tester and just attack the stuff that's in scope. Um, okay, so I was just kind of doing that vanilla attack, really attacking one specific access point, and I was still having problems getting the handshake. And this whole narrative is within this discussion. In fact, I think if I search for the word dope, um, you will see the dope on my part, where upon going back and re-enumerating the environment, it's like, oh, the last access point that I need to attack is WPA3. And then I kind of said, okay, my understanding is from this thread and this thread and this thread is that there's not really a direct path to capture and crack a handshake. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments here, but my understanding is like today, Hashcat and John the Ripper, I don't think have like the capability to try to go after a WPA3 handshake. But please, I put an asterisk on what I just said because I'm not positive. But upon kind of stating that in general here, the author said, "Oh, hey, what you can do is use another tool to be able to potentially uh, perform a downgrade attack where you actually trick if the network is in transition mode and supports both WPA WPA3, you can trick a client into doing an association that will give you that old school WPA2 handshake. So to stage this up and to show you kind of what this may look like on your network gear, my Meraki gear, I made a WP3 access point, and um, and in the encryption setup, that's one of the toggles, is transition mode. So if you want to kind of lab this out at home, also if you end up, testing for this in the real world, this will be a nice remediation step to talk about with your clients, right? Is hey, if you got Rocky gear, they also have a really nice knowledge base article about it, but I think it'll be called something like this, regardless of the network vendor that is running your Wi-Fi. But I set this up in transition mode, and then to facilitate the testing of the downgrade attack, I actually used HCX Lab Tool. Now, when you go looking for this, it might take you a second to find, as it did me, because it is um, it is by the same author, Zerbia, but it's in a repo called Wi-Fi Laboratory. Okay, so if you're sitting here like I am, and you're going uh, repositories, you might go, "Where's my HCX lab tool? I don't see it here." Okay, so it's in Wi-Fi Laboratory. Boom, that's where you get it. And in my HCX lab tool write up on BPatty, there's the commands to get it pulled down. There's the command to get all the prereqs installed, and then finally compile it. All right. And then what you want to do is make a text file. You can call it whatever you want, that has the AP name or AP names that you want to test for the downgrade attack. Okay. So in my example, I put those AP names in a file called list of WPA3 APs dot list. So you don't have to. This is one thing I'm thankful for. You don't have to build a Berkeley packet filter for. You can just use um, a text file. Okay, so we're going to and this some of these other settings. The T15. I can't remember what that was for, but I think the author put it in here. Said, "Hey, also it's useful to increase the stay time on a frequency to around 15 seconds." See, these little nuggets are the kind of things that like are all over the wiki and the discussions and the issues. And so I that's just kind of my one wish is like, oh, it just seems like the README that all these different things are just a little bit out of date, or they all have little bit, you know what I mean? Little Christmas presents in them. But anyway, that's where I got this as an attack syntax. Okay. Okay. So you'll queue that up. There's my HCX lab tool with my AP list and the frequency linger time. So then, boom, you let that rip, and then here was my next conundrum. A little bit is that it's like, okay, once this runs, you start to see all the networks and all the network names, and it kind of looks like they're all under attack again. And so I was like, ugh, all right, cancel that. What's going on? Well, no, everything was running fine, and I let it run for several hours. And what you want to look for is, as I fast forward time here, towards the bottom, when you see some entries without a channel associated, because it's not a network, it's actually like a client connection. You'll see your network name, entry here again with no channel associated. But what this indicates to you is you have pulled off the downgrade attack, and you've got a WPA2 handshake for the network that is called WPA3 for me. Okay. So WPA3 for me, again, that's the WPA3 network that I had in transition mode. And then I ran this HCX lab tool to trick clients to connect and give me the ability to get a good old fashioned WPA2 handshake. And again, I'm glossing. I'm really kind of skipping over like the technicals as far as like, well, why does that work and blah blah blah. But shoot, I think but again, read through this GitHub issue that I link to, because I think all your super fun nerdy questions will be answered. All right, so I was giddy as a junior high schoolboy about having a successful capture, but then it's like, okay, where is that? Where is that capture now? And can I just run it straight through Hashcat? Or what about, as you can see here, I've got a second blurred outline. I ended up getting another AP handshake that isn't in scope for this test, but it's like, okay, what are the next steps? And again, this is where I found it a little bit confusing to put all the pieces together. Um, so when you do this HCX lab tool run, it will just by default, it'll grab a .pcapng file. So a packet capture of everything that happens during this operation that will be sitting in the same folder with, I think, let me go to the next slide, with a with a date and time stamp. Okay. So it'll be called, there it is, year, month, day, time. Then I think this is the name of the wireless interface, .pcap ng. So the final things we need to do here is, we want to extract just the handshakes that are in scope for this assessment, and that is a couple step process. So we're going to use HCX PCAP NG tool, which is, let me just bounce back to BPATI. That is part of HCX tools page. Right here is what we're doing. So we're taking a PCAP NG file and we're ripping out of it all the handshakes in a format that Hashcat can understand. Mode 22,000 to be specific. Okay. So that's what I'm doing here. Let me rip out just the crackable hash information. Okay. So you'll do that. You'll create your WPA3 for me .hc 22,000. But here's the problem. If you go and look at what is actually in that file, you'll see this. Look at all these different lines. WPA2, WPA2. Many, many lines of captured handshakes. So then if you're like me, you go, well, how do I know which one is mine? I mean, you certainly could, if you're a glutton for punishment, you could throw that whole file into Hashcat and it's ready to crack. It'll understand that you want, you set it to mode 22,000 and it'll try. But cracking these handshakes just is more time and processor heavy. So, what we want to do instead is tweeze out just the WPA3 for me ID, right? Well, that's another tool. That is HCX hash tool, and again, that is part of HCX tools. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. HCX hash tool. So what I'm doing in this next part is I'm running HCX hash tool against the hash.hc 22,000 file and feeding the output of it just right into my terminal. And once you do that, then you will see in the raw output, you'll see the SSID name. In this case, that's what we're looking for, WPA3 for me. And then here's the part you actually care about. The hash line WPA02, yum, 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 right? Copy just that out into a file called, WPA3 for me.txt or crackme.txt or whatever you want. So there, finally, after all that, we've enumerated the access points. We've found one that's WPA3. We've tried to coerce clients to connecting to us in downgraded fashion. It worked. We ended up with a big PCAP full of information. We reached it there, and maybe there's like one tool, maybe there's some script that automates all this, but I'm just stepping through it, right? Took our big PCAP, then we pulled out all the crackable hash information into one big file. But then we go, okay, wait a minute. I want to look deeper, and I only want to waste my cracking cycles on the network or networks that are in scope. And so HCX hash tool is the final finishing move. So again, you'll run this against the HC 22000, and you might see several pages of text, but just look for your ID or your IDs. Then take just these hash lines. Um, Make sure to. I can't remember if um, I I can't remember if these have clean line breaks or not, but just keep in mind, remember when you create your file for Hashcat, you want this hash line to be one continuous line. So I can't remember if you just, drag from upper left to lower right. If you copy that and paste it, I think you might have to take the line breaks out. I can't remember. Excuse me. We'll take that out in post. I've been using too many tools lately, but just be aware of that, right? If you copy this whole blob and it looks like this to Hashcat, Hashcat is going to go, "What are you trying to crack here? I don't understand the format." Okay, so we take just that hash line out, and now we're more positioned to do a traditional Hashcat crack job. So I'm going to say Hashcat mode 22,000. The file is crackme.txt, and I made the password super simple. So I have a file called seasons.txt. I let I let Linux fire up, and there we go. A good old classic, oldie but a goodie. Um, Winter 2024 as the Wi-Fi password. So um that is really cool. I found that very fun. Oh, and while I think about it, that's really most of what I wanted to show you today. Let me bring up one more link. It was there's a good trusted sec article that I referenced as well. There we go. The dangers of transition mode. So this is kind of in my write up for this for the client when I have the little section on like good reads, I like to give more of these type of blogs that are a good balance between real life application and risk and tech goodness at the same time. So they actually show you or show how in the raw packet capture how you can actually pick that apart and see where there is the vulnerability, if you will, of allowing a downgrade attack, um, and having that SSID be in transition mode. So, oh, let's see, yeah. Let's see, where are they showing? Looks like this is what this looks like for. I'm not familiar with. Oh, Aruba. Okay, so it kinda nice to have these screenshots, right? Because Aruba's super popular as well. If the client's looking to fix that, if they can indeed if they have all devices that all support WPA3 mode, and they know that, right, then they could be safe to go ahead and disable WPA3 transition mode. That's kind of, I guess, the end of the story, right? Or the recommendation to the customer would be, "Hey, once you know that all devices you have are on WPA3, you can force WPA3 and don't let anybody negotiate, I guess, down to WPA2." All right. What say you all? Is that cool? Do you like that? Questions, comments, concerns? Oh, there was one here from Paul. I'm just going to put it up because I feel like I'm working for CNN when I do this. So transition mode is what allows you to downgrade, correct? Yes. Yep. Um, so that yeah, looks like this on the Aruba side, and then on my slide, back up in the Meraki world, this is what you'd be looking for, indicating that it's in transition mode and allows for downgrade attacks. So yeah, good, good question. Um, Anybody else? Any other comments, questions, concerns? Otherwise, while we're winding down, I'll do one more shameless plug to just invite you to 7minsec.club. Sacrifice your email or anybody's email. Well, not anybody's email, one that you own and operate. And not going to spam you, not going to uh, I love to write, and so at the most you would get like an email a week from me, but you can unsubscribe at any time with not hurting my feelings. And there is, you probably saw if you're not a signed in or you're not a subscriber, there's some little naggy pop-ups and stuff. I've turned as much of that off as I can, but also, they want to nudge you towards having an account. So, and that would, later down the road, I do want to open up some of the chat features and stuff because there's a lot of people who have written in the last few years and they want to talk about they're thinking about starting a cybersecurity business or they have frustrations running their own. And I thought that'd be a fun, more small community way to have those discussions rather than something a bit more broad like Slack and Discord. Um, so yeah, check it out. Otherwise, if you don't want to subscribe, then just come here and you can still click through all the stuff. You just might get a bit of nagging pop-ups. Um, and let's see. Oh, there was maybe one more. Okay, Paul says yes. I was reading on Aruba WPA3 is default to allow. Okay, good. I think maybe where you're going with that, Paul, is I think this would be worth, especially if you're a blue teamer, network admin type, worth checking right on your wireless gear because maybe there's somebody out there who assumes, oh, I spun up the access point in WPA3, so I should be good, right? Well, yeah, if the default is transition mode, then you might not be quite as secure uh, as you think. So nice. And then Jay, I hope you don't mind. I it sort of feels fun to feel like I'm running a news program. Jay says I was doing this on a client engagement last month. Good to see it broken down. Yeah, it was. And Jay or anybody, if you see all this and you go, dude, there's like one tool that will do all those steps in one thing. Let me know. But I just, as feverish and as accurately as I could, I put it all into um, Patty. Which, by the way, I had a question on that. Someone said someone had asked about like is B Patty or the Substack, are those like subscription model things where you pay to play or pay for some of the content. Um, B Patty Reloaded or B Patty Rocks here. I love this site and honestly I use it more than anybody else does. But it just runs on Docusaurus. To my knowledge, it doesn't have like any tracking, nothing. It's just flat HTML files and it loads super fast and I love it. On the Substack side, it does give me the opportunity to open up subscribership at a minimum of $5 a month. I think that is their minimum tier. So I might at least just flip the switch on for that at some point because some people out there they're more security hobbyists or they're not in a decision making role to maybe have 7MinSec considered for professional projects, but might just want to support costs of the show and stuff. So you might see me toggle that box on so that you can opt in, but um, maybe down the road it's like, I don't know. Here's a because you can also go live just through this app, and so maybe at some point it'll be like, I don't know. Here's a live stream or a live chat that's only for paid subscribers, but I don't know. I just want to see where it goes at this point. I'm really more interested in just having discussions with smart folks like you, and especially on the business side. Like, I don't have all the answers to having a successful business, and I've engaged with some really smart people who like have done this a lot longer than I have, and selfishly, I'd like to learn from some of you. So that's really the goal. Share the information, share the knowledge, network with each other. Um, and then, of course, this is where I'll probably feed the updates for any upcoming get-togethers or events or live streams. So hope you'll join us. And if that's it, I'll send you all on your way. And I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you checking this out. It means a lot to me, and it's fun to see some familiar virtual faces. And oh, let me do it the smart business people would say. Of course, right? Of course, 7minsec.com if you're in the need of assessments, pen testing, and training. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I don't mean to turn it into a commercial. I just like to tell you kind of where my head is and be real transparent about what my motives are for anything, because I think that's important in a business. I did want to tell you that we're getting closer. I don't know why I'm going here. The training site is where I've got our ebook and a general security awareness training class. But I'm closer. I hope to have by the end of quarter 1 the sort of self-paced version of our hacking class. So you could take a guided by videos version of it if you wanted to, and then of course I'll be, once this is all moved over, then I'll also be offering the live a version as well, where you can go through it with me over the course of 3 days. So yeah, that's kind of what's cooking for me in early 2025. All right. I think that's I think that's it. All right. Thanks everybody. Awesome hanging out with you. And we'll see you next time. I don't know what the content is for the next third Thursday, but of course, you can, join 7minsec.club to get the updates. Otherwise, 7minsec.com/live has our upcoming and past events. Okay, that's it. Gonna shut up now and stop being a salesperson. All right, I'll send you out with a little jingle, and have a good rest of your week. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
You've been watching or listening to 7 Minute Security, a weekly podcast focused on pen testing, blue teaming, and building a career in security. For more episodes like this, visit 7ms.us. And for information about our consulting services, visit 7minsec.com.